We're watching films on the toilet, because that's what dads have to do. When the movie's unsuitable for your kids, then pretend you need a number two. If you need a break from your family or spouse, there's a lavatorial picture house. Watch Terminator 2 while you're sitting on the loo. Enjoy the whole of Rambo 4 with your trousers on the floor. We're watching films on the toilet. How about you?
Yeah. Shall I start this one? Because what I've noticed is you kind of psych yourself up before we start.
I do.
And that sort of carries over a little bit. So pretty much the start of every show begins with you making some kind of noise.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought we might try something different. Maybe just start with words.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I put quite a lot of effort into that, but I guess it's cool to seem like you're not trying. That's cool, isn't it?
I suppose also people will understand what it is I'm trying to communicate. That's the upside of using words.
But what was that song? Rihanna released a song. Oh, that was it. It was Work, wasn't it? That there. And everyone's like, oh, it's so cool, because it sounds like she's like not even trying to say anything. But it's kind of like what you're doing.
Yeah, I am a lot like Rihanna.
You are actually. You model underwear, don't you?
You're very kind with that description. It's adult nappies and incontinence pants.
Yeah, underwear.
The agent said to me, "It's just got the right size gut. You've got the right size gut to make it really work for you."
Do you feel like that was a compliment?
I took it as one.
It's just honesty, isn't it? Like in the modelling world, people are just brutally honest. They don't mess about.
No one would believe a person with a six-pack needs to wear like incontinence pants. It's just not going to happen.
It is, though. You imagine all those people that take human growth hormones. I bet they can't control their bowels at all.
Oh man, I would love that. Would that be like the ultimate feel-good revenge if you were there with like someone who's like shredded?
Yeah, super torn.
And they were like, all right there, chubster, look at you, chubby guts. And you'd be feeling like bad about it. And then they'd be like, oh no, I'm shitting myself again. Because imagine if you were doing like the muscle poses that muscle men do. You have to strain quite hard.
I bet that happens. 100% that happens. They strain super hard, don't they?
Again, I just there's no way of not finding that funny. Do you think they all like take precautions just in case?
Definitely. I bet they take, what is it, Imodium?
Yeah, they probably do that. I was thinking about more practical measures.
What, like a cork?
Like the wadding, yeah.
They pull out that Bruce Forsyth stack and...
No, they don't do a Bruce Forsyth.
They do. They do. And then the cork pops out.
That's how they celebrate.
Welcome to Watching Films on the Toilet, a podcast with a couple of right lads, aren't we? Right lads. Couple of lads. Couple of old lads, I suppose.
One called Ben, the other called Eamonn.
Yeah, you can figure out which is which.
I'm going to tell you which is which.
It's up to you. You can choose. We watch movies that we can't watch with our kids in our toilet house because that's the only place we can go, and it's nice in there. So this week we're going to be talking about the 2021 movie, The Many Saints of Newark, which was the Sopranos prequel movie. And we have a special guest, my good friend, Gerry Del Guecho. He is the host of an Instagram pizza review show, I suppose, called Bite Twice, Rate the Slice, or Bite Twice Pizza Reviews. One of the two. He'll tell us that later, which is brilliant and hilarious. And he's a good friend of mine. I went to university with him. We watched The Sopranos together when it was out. He's also the lead singer of a band called Six Nation State, who have recently reformed. So we're going to be talking about The Many Saints of Newark later, which will be great. But first of all, we have some correspondence, Eamonn.
Oh.
We got a letter. This one is from, it's quite serious. Don't want to bring down the mood straight away, but it's from the London Fire Brigade.
I wonder what this could be about.
So, if you listen to our last episode, our Halloween special, you probably know, you might have an idea what this is about, but I'll read it and you'll figure it out as you go along. So, dear Watching Films on the Toilet, we are deeply concerned by comments made in a recent episode of your podcast regarding times when it is appropriate to burn someone's house down. These so-called rules are irresponsible and potentially life-threatening, and we hope you will address the misleading claims on your next episode. We are reluctantly yet legally required to add that a bylaw made by the London County Council in the late 1800s states that any man who discovers his wife laying with a man of short stature is entitled to burn the offending party's house to the ground and fashion himself a new wife from the ashes. His unfaithful wife is then required to carry the ash wife on her back along the banks of the River Thames, while the market traders toss their spoiled fruit and vegetables in her direction. If the ash wife remains intact after the bombardment has ceased, the recreant spouse may deliver the ash wife to her husband's home before jumping from the nearest bridge into the River Thames. However, if the ash wife is damaged, the cheating partner must consume the remains before jumping from the nearest bridge into the River Thames. Although this bylaw still applies today, we cannot guarantee its reliability in the defence of related actions. Yours sincerely, the London Fire Brigade. Is that too weird?
It was absolutely mental. To begin with, I thought it might have been one of those quaint old laws that do exist. And then as time went on, I was just like, oh my God, what is he doing?
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe what I was trying to go for wasn't quite there.
What were you trying to go for, Ben?
Oh, just the idea that they've told us not. They've told us not to burn houses down, but turns out there's this law, really weird old law, that means that we could.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for.
It's funny because usually what happens is they'll send a letter like scolding us, and then we then build upon that ourselves. But what I like about the London Fire Brigade is no, they just launched into this absolutely crazy bylaw.
I know, but they had to tell us because it's related, isn't it?
I'm glad they did tell us.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Any listeners out there, if you've made an ash wife, or if you've had to carry an ash spouse along the River Thames, please let us know.
Yeah, you never know. Well, maybe we'll leave that one out.
No. We're keeping that in.
It might be too weird.
No, we're keeping that in. Well, I mean, tough act to follow that, but I do have a piece of. It's not really. Well, I suppose it is correspondence. Remember a few episodes back, I received a poison pen letter, as they're called. It's one of those letters made up of like scraps of newspaper.
Yeah.
That person's been in touch again.
Oh no.
Okay. So let's just read you what it says. Dear watching films on the toilet, your anonymous friend here. No hard evidence to follow up our initial discussions as yet, but I did steal the enclosed document from James Cameron's trash can last week, and I thought it might be of interest.
Oh.
Well, what this person has sent us is a top line, a treatment, a one-pager, as they say in the biz, of a film movie idea that James Cameron has been pitching.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so I'll just read you what it says.
Yeah.
Okay. The working title is called Dogfighter.
Oh.
Okay, right. Johnny Calhoun is a hotshot Air Force pilot who moves to a sleepy air base in California looking to shake things up with his brash flying style. Over the course of the movie, Johnny will win the respect of his peers and ultimately of his commanders as his selfless yet flamboyant flying style wins the hearts and minds on the base.
Right.
At the same time, Johnny will try and keep a deep personal secret to himself, one which in these modern times shouldn't be an issue, but is still a controversial and taboo subject in the military: a desire to fight and eat dogs. This movie is a celebration of Johnny's twin qualities of rugged individualism on the field of battle and his integrity to stand up for what he believes in, namely hunting down and eating delicious dogs. By the end of the film, Johnny will save the day with his breathtaking plane flying and show up the anti-dog eating brigade for the closed-minded bigots they really are. We close the picture with Johnny and his friends on the base celebrating with a big party, the centerpiece of which is a multi-dog roast, with a Great Dane being the outermost dog and a Chihuahua at the center. Approximate cost, $400 million.
Wow.
It's a little bit of backstory to this.
Yeah, you should probably give that.
I had this theory that James Cameron kidnaps dogs
Yeah,
and eats them.
you did have that theory. I didn't agree with it.
And you didn't agree with it. But I feel like what he's trying to do with this film is use a blockbuster to try and make this peccadillo of his socially acceptable.
Yes, to sort of subliminally plant this insidious idea in people's heads.
So he's taking like the coolest thing you can think of, which is like a fighter pilot. And he's making that character find dog meat absolutely delicious.
Yeah. I mean, it's smart. Yeah, I mean, it's essentially Top Gun with Tom Cruise eating dogs throughout.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Does James Cameron eat people as well?
No, just dogs.
Okay.
He kills people.
Right.
Kills his nephews. We've agreed on that.
Yeah. Does the pilot kill a nephew in the film, or
I
just?
think he's saving that for the sequel.
I mean, this is ironclad proof that James Cameron eats dogs, isn't it?
Yeah, come at me, James Cameron's lawyers.
I mean, don't actually.
Come at me and Ben, James Cameron's lawyers.
Oh, come at Eamonn. Oh,
Come at us both.
come at Eamonn.
The toilet news, Ben.
Yeah.
Okay. Dad praised for a respectful way of taking daughter into public toilets. A proud dad has shared his genius advice on taking his daughter to the bathroom when they're out in public, and he's been praised online for protecting his kid. Blogger Mohammed Nitoto has come up with a solution for taking his daughter into toilets. He takes his daughter into the ladies' toilets.
Right.
Men's bathrooms, this is this guy. Men's bathrooms are disgusting. They smell like pee and nothing is set up for a woman or a person with a child. So the changing table was right next to the urinal, which means my child literally would be next to where men pee, where she's being changed. Not to mention there are men going in and out whilst you're there. So instead, Mohammed carefully navigates the women's restrooms with his daughters, making sure to announce his presence at all time.
Right.
I try to be respectful to women as I can while doing so, which consists of knocking on the door before entering and announcing myself.
Okay.
Making sure, if someone is inside, that they know I am a dad coming in with his daughter, and making sure they are comfortable with that. Now, once inside a stall, I'm still aware of the door. Whenever I hear it open, someone new is coming in. I announce myself again and make sure they know I'm inside with my child, so they aren't surprised.
Sorry, this has been described as genius.
Yeah, the newspaper describes it as genius.
Just telling someone you're there. Wow.
I can't think of anything that would give me more anxiety than going into a lady's toilet.
I mean, or being a woman in the toilet and a man says, I'm coming in. I'm coming in.
It's okay. I've got a daughter.
It's fine. Like, it's not. It's an odd one.
Do you think is it too strong to call this guy out as a horrible pervert?
Possibly a little too strong. I think he's decided that that's what he's going to do, and he's not going to let anyone talk him down. I don't think he's a genius.
No. Pervert, maybe. Just feels weird. It's a bit self-aggrandizing because he's a blogger. They wrote like a massive blog post about it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like someone caught him. It's just like, I find what you're doing fascinating. Can I tell me your story? He wrote like a massive blog post.
This is genius. All you have to do is say you're coming in and no one can do anything about it. Absolute genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's this sort of this whole, I'm a dad, like changing my daughter. That's not unique, I'm afraid. That's what you should be doing. You're her father. But don't barge in on women trying to do their business. Sort yourself out, mate. This guy's despicable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He also says that he'll try and find toilets where there's at least one woman doing a dump. And then
says that at the end, does he?
it says it says it at the end.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It says also. It's like also. It says also.
Right.
He tries.
There's
Yeah.
The journalist wrote in the.
Oh yeah. Oh also.
Yeah.
He tries to find toilets where the woman's doing a big dump. I didn't say big before, but it does say big on the story.
Okay. Right. Let's speak to Gerry.
Woo!
Yeah, that was a dumbed down woo. You were holding that back.
I would never do a full-bodied woo.
I want.
Under
come
no
on.
circumstances.
Come on, I want you to
fine.
unleash one more time.
All right, okay.
Okay, let's speak to Gerry.
Yeah, come on, baby. I can't wait.
All right. Come on, baby, I can't wait. Well, okay. Gerry?
Who's there?
It's Ben and Eamonn.
Ben and Eamonn who?
It's not a joke.
Come on in, guys.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey,
Oh.
these guys.
Didn't expect to see one of those on the floor.
Gerry, can you pick that up, please?
Can you pick that up and pop it in the bin? It's disgusting.
Oh, he ate it. Oh, my gosh. Oh, man. So, this is very exciting. We are joined by my friend Gerry, who happens to be a rock star, a businessman, and an expert in pizza.
Some of those are definitely true, but I'd say the rock star might be a tad generous.
Well, yeah, So recently you've started a Instagram review channel.
Yeah, pizza Instagram review channel, man. Yeah.
Called Bite Twice, Rate the Slice, which is fantastic.
Well, Bite Twice Pizza Reviews. We had to abbreviate it. We had to make it more snappy for the buzzwords. Yeah,
I see.
But yeah, man. So basically, at the beginning of this year, I'd just kind of been furloughed for a year, just being really good at not homeschooling and basically just kind of being a lazy fuck. And I was like, I've got to do something.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of this Dave Pomeroy in the States. I'm thinking no one's doing that in the UK, and so basically just started doing it for fun. I thought I knew a lot about pizza at the time. Turns out I knew about pizza, but I've learned a lot and stuff, and I just really enjoy it. It's this kind of outlet for me to perform and to kind of just be a little bit creative and a bit wacky. So yeah, man, it's good fun, and people seem to like it. It's growing slowly and steadily. And
oh, that's great, man. And you're sometimes co-host, I guess, the man who films. Is he called Paul or is he called Paolo? Because you call him both things.
He's an Irish geezer called Paul, man, but it's more cred if I call him Paolo. Especially because me being my name abbreviated to Gerry. People just don't really get it, and especially this really thick Italian accent that I harbour.
Yeah,
that's covered with this South London sort of twang.
Yes.
What's weird, Ben, is 22 years ago, man, you're a West Country boy, man, and now you're as about South London as me, bro. You spent more of your life in South London than you have in the Plim.
What are you chatting about, fam, lad? I'm not South London, lad.
Proper South London.
So this week we are going to be discussing the Sopranos prequel, The Many Saints of Newark. Now, Gerry, on our show, before we get into the chat, we like to do something called the Summer Wee, which is a summary of the movie that I'm going to do, which lasts as long as it would take you to do a big morning wee. So, what might you have had to drink for me that would sustain the length of a good old morning wee?
Okay, well, I'm in events, so sometimes I run my own bar, and when I do that, I can drink pretty solidly. So let's just imagine that I've been nailing the Brewdogs all night, man, and I went to bed absolutely bladdered, and that's my morning piss.
Yeah, fantastic. So how long do you reckon I'd have?
1 minute 10 seconds. There you go.
All right, man. Cool. Thank you. 1 minute 10 seconds. Eamonn, are you ready to record my attempt at a quick summer wee?
Just let me Google timer.
Okay.
There we go. I'm good.
Okay, here we go.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
So, it's the late 60s and a young Tony Soprano accompanies his Uncle Dickie to welcome home Ray Liotta, Dickie's dad, and his very young and beautiful Italian bride. Dickie is part of a New York crime family along with a bunch of younger characters from The Sopranos, and they're all doing pretty well. Dickie is unhappy with the way his dad treats his new wife, and after they get in a fight about it, Dickie loses his temper and bashes his head in. Thankfully, a bunch of riots have kicked off in the city, and Dickie uses this to his advantage, burning down a building to cover up the murder. We fast forward a bit after Tony's dad is sent to jail for 4 years. Dickie embarks on an affair with his stepmom. Tony starts getting in trouble at school, and we meet Ray Liotta again, this time as Dickie's incarcerated uncle. Another jump forward, and Tony's dad is released from prison as one of Dickie's old associates, Harold, decides to start his own criminal enterprise in Newark. This leads to some bloodshed and a wake, at which Uncle Junior slips and hurts his back, which Dickie finds hilarious. Oops! Then Dickie finds out his Gumar stepmom had a go on Harold and drowns her in the sea. This leads to the realisation that he's not a very good person, and he decides to distance himself from his doting nephew Tony. Then, butthurt Uncle Junior, taking advantage of the tension between Dickie and Harold, has Dickie whacked via a bullet to the back of the head. Tony waits for his uncle in the diner the next morning, but he never shows. Cue the Sopranos theme tune, and the end.
Oh.
Okay.
How long do you reckon that was, Eamonn?
About a minute 28.
I overran. There was a lot of story in that film, though, for me to cover.
You could almost say there was 2 films worth of story in that one film.
You could say that. Before we get into it, Gerry, I want to go to the end as the start. Do you remember watching the last episode of The Sopranos? And how did you feel about the ending?
Well, at the beginning, the first time I saw it, I was like, just sort of sat there going, what the f*** happened? Look, what?
Yeah.
And then obviously I've seen the ending now probably like 50,000 times, because I do watch it a lot still. In fact, I've started watching it again for the second time in the last month. You know what I mean? So I'm on series 2, and I think it's perfect. I think you can take what you want out of it, and let's be honest, the reality, as much as you didn't want him to die, the reality is he probably did. That's what happens to people who enter that life,
Yeah.
And I say this with 17 years since the last series and stuff, and you kind of grow up, and now you're that age, and you look at it, and I look at it now, and I think, oh my God, what a piece of shit. Literally the worst human being in the world. And chances are he did die, or he's in prison.
Yeah.
But it could be any of those things, or it could not be. He could actually just be still free because he's so ruthless and throws everyone else under the bus.
Yeah.
That could. And I think that was the beauty of it, is it just kind of leaves it utterly open to what we want it to be. And you know what, man, when you piss people off with endings, you've hit the f***ing right spot. I think what we wanted to see from the last series of Tony walking into the sunset and being and never going to prison, or that's what we wanted to see. But the reality of it is that would have been the wrong ending, because we wouldn't have been talking about it.
Apparently David Chase did shoot a post-credit sequence of Tony on a sun lounger, arms behind his head, looking directly at the camera and saying, "It doesn't get any better than this." And then an iris into his eye, and then a wink, and then it was over. And in the 11th hour, he decided to cut it out.
I can't believe he got rid of that. Can you believe that?
I know, foolish.
That would have been great.
Do you not think he definitely died at the end? I'm sure he's dead.
So yeah, absolutely. But then, do you know what? Maybe there's a chance he didn't, and that's the beauty of it. There's nothing definite about it.
That's true. Personally, I think he's dead. But as you said, it is open to interpretation, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Well, I agree with what you said. I think the beauty of that ending is that slight ambiguity in its meaning. And I think there's very strong hints as to what happens. But I think one of the things David Chase did so well is not treat his viewers like idiots.
It was interesting what you said then, Gerry. You've realised that Tony is an awful, awful person. I thought he was pretty cool. I thought they were all quite cool. But coming back to it, I realised how awful they actually were. They were all horrible.
But everyone, like Carmela, who I used to think was the moral backbone, is a massive hypocrite. And Meadow is horrible.
I think Meadow, watching this, because I was thinking about this, she constantly sticks up for her dad. And you've got to understand, that's what any daughter would do, because she's been corrupted with those lies. I think that the kids are the most innocent out of everyone, is they've just been raised in the same way as Tony was raised in the family, to accept that that's just what you do. The kids have done the same. And even though his kids didn't take the dip into organised crime, they're still the same. They're still sold this lie. And all you ever want to do is see the best in your parents, ultimately. And obviously they gained massively through their incredibly privileged lives, through having a dad who runs the crime in North Jersey.
Yeah. Were you a naughty boy, Gerry? Were you a naughty boy when you were little?
Never. What do you reckon?
I think you might have got up to a little bit of mischief. Eamonn, what about you? Were you a naughty boy?
Nope. So yeah, I don't think I ever did anything naughty. Not through being a decent person, but just being terrified of getting caught.
Yeah.
Really, just cowardice that has kept me
On the straight and narrow.
I mean, I fantasize all the time about like doing horrible things. If I knew I could get away with it, I definitely would.
See, I think I'd be a wicked criminal. I've got that street smart a little bit.
Yeah.
But the consequence of going to prison stops me from being too much.
Well, Gerry, you strike me as the kind of person who has the gift of the gab. You could strike up a conversation with anyone. You have that sort of charisma. Whereas I think once I snapped, I would just become like a psycho. It wouldn't be charming. Everyone would go, oh my God, there's that horrible man.
Yeah, you'd be, going into the film now. Dickie, he's a very charismatic, charming guy, but he has these moments of just like blackout rage where he does horrendous things. I think that would be you, Eamonn, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about the time I had an affair with my stepmum and then murdered her in the sea. But
I went and watched it twice, and I'll tell you one thing I really noticed. You know, when the voice of Chris's voice comes over and he goes, it was 1967, and he goes, Neil Young had just done his speech from the moon.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is perfect. Obviously, like, Chris is stupid, like the times when he goes,
So dumb.
Speaking of that, Christopher Moltisanti's voiceover, what did you think of it? Necessary?
do you know what it is, right? I love The Sopranos. So, like, ultimately, I didn't care if this was good or bad. I wanted it to be good. And I thought, and the second time I watched it, it was much, much better than the first time. I had East Dulwich Picture House to myself. It was fucking amazing, man. Like the best £11 I've ever spent in my life. But I loved his voice. It had that Goodfellas edge where he was trying to copy Ray Liotta, you know.
Yeah.
I found it a little jarring. Like Christopher's voice from Beyond the Grave. It was one of the things that sort of took me out of the film.
He basically says over and over again, as Tony Soprano, he killed me. He says that about at least 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked the voice from the grave, man. Honestly, the second time I watched it, it all made so much more sense, man. I was like, yeah.
Well, you bite twice, then you rate the slice.
Guys, done the same thing with the film.
We've only bitten once. Although sometimes you do only bite once.
Sometimes I ate one slice and like one bite.
Do you think it would have been better if Chrissy was in screen but all like ashy and like white? It's like, oh, I'm Chrissy's ghost.
Like Jacob Marley with chains.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm in hell.
Tales from the Crypt.
And every so often you could just see him in the back of a scene just watching and then like looking at the camera going, can't believe he said that.
I'd like it if it was a Muppet version of Christopher as well.
The Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So Christopher's in it. How did you feel about, or the other interpretations of the characters from The Sopranos?
First time I watched it, I thought Silvio was just this like a
Caricature.
the caricature. But then the second time I watched it, I thought it was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I watched it, I thought Paulie was a caricature of himself. But then the second time I watched it, I thought, no, that's fantastic. Like, it changed my like whole mindset on the film, to be honest with you. I thought Tony Soprano's son has done an amazing job at learning the character, and especially because that's his first major role in anything, you know, like I thought he did a really good job. And I thought Livia was literally hurt, like she
was
but
amazing.
that's why I kind of like that. I like the humour behind it. I like the fact that Silvio was just like too much. Do you know what I mean?
He was the one I struggled with. Livia was amazing. When she got shot in the beehive, that was an amazing scene.
That's hilarious. Love they put that in.
I like the guy who played Paulie because he kind of did his own thing with it. But Silvio, it felt like a Saturday Night Live impersonation. It just didn't work for me.
I felt the same. If you look at like Paulie, you could see like in 50 years he would evolve into that old guy with all those tics. Whereas I feel like Silvio, you have to become that old guy with that very extreme personality, whereas you wouldn't be that fully formed as a character.
Yeah, I agree.
Also, guys, the inconsistencies with timeline f***ed me off a little bit. That they talk about Silvio, Pussy, and Jackie and Ralphie all being part of the same crew, and all of a sudden, like, I know that they're only like 5-6 years older in this film, but it was like, no, Silvio, in the first series, their kids go to the same school together, and like Paulie's supposed to be way older. He's supposed to be Johnny's age, but actually him and Silvio are almost the same age, and I just like, no, and that didn't all. But at the same time, I thought, you know what? Who cares? Because ultimately, Pine Barrens, when they go into the woods and there's never any answers for that.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, does it bother me? No, it doesn't bother me, because it's The Sopranos.
How did you feel about Uncle Junior?
It kind of makes sense, because I started watching the first series after I watched the film, and you realise when Junior still has his power, how like desperate Junior was for it. And kind of watching that now, you kind of realise that Junior is this like mocked guy. The only reason he's there is because of his brother. That character really explains why Junior is such an arsehole. He jarred me a little bit, but at the same time, I think it made so much sense. Yeah.
What did you think of him, Eamonn?
I liked him. I thought the guy, Corey Stoll, I thought did a good job. Because he is this kind of... He reminds me a little bit of the Emperor from Gladiators. Gladiator, sorry, not the TV show Gladiators.
What, Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah, in that he's not a natural-born leader. He doesn't command respect, but he is cunning and vicious. He can see the game ahead of him and is able to sort of pull strings, but he's never like an alpha male dominant figure that will garner the same sort of respect as someone like Tony. And they even sort of reference that in it. Someone makes a joke at his expense about his girlfriend or something, and he doesn't have a comeback. And Dickie is like, he's just going to let him say that.
Yeah, he does, isn't he?
So I think it's kind of like a thankless task in a way for the actor, but I think he did a really good job.
He just felt like a bit too much of a physical presence. Uncle Junior, he's kind of this weakling. He's a bit like me.
Is he slender?
He looks like Sid Little, doesn't he?
He does. It's like he would have grown up. People would have mocked him for his whole life. I felt probably because of the way he looked and the way he was, just kind of like a weakling. Yeah. So this guy, Corey Stoll, was pretty stacked. That I found a bit off-putting, that he was quite as sort of handsome and big as he was in the movie.
When I googled it, I actually realised how handsome the actor actually is. He's like a really good-looking guy, man. Yeah. They've managed to do like a good job actually like dumbing him down, but not enough.
What did you make of Ray Liotta?
It was interesting because when I watched it and he was there in the beginning, I was just like, this guy's an absolute ham. He's eating up the scenery all over the place. Why is he going so over the top? And then I realised it was because he plays his twin brother, who's like the silent, strong type. And so he had to do that to kind of compare and contrast.
Turn it up to turn it down.
Do you know what was interesting though? You know, he says, he's like, my grandfather wasn't a made guy. He was only an associate. But the reason he was never a made guy was because his brother had killed somebody in the family, and the rules say that that's it.
Right. I didn't realise that.
Which is interesting, the fact that they let Christopher in further down the generations. And that was obviously because of Tony's support.
Honestly, it's not what it used to be, is it? How would you feel, though, if your dad brought home a beautiful young bride off the boat? How do you think you feel about that?
It'd be weird as fuck. When you're like raised in a norm of murder, your moral compass is like all over the place.
Yeah, everything's just out the window, isn't it?
I love mafia movies. They're my favourite movies in the world, man. But I think the older you get, where the glamour fades off of it, you realise that they are just pieces of shit, man. Like, you know, again, you know, when I was a kid, I never quite got this, because when Italians would moan, about sort of, because I love Gomorrah. You know, you say to a Neapolitan person, "Oh, do you love Gomorrah?" Which I think has done loads for Napoli's tourism, but they'll turn around and they're pissed off. They're like, why? You talk to anyone, they go, first thing they say to you is Gomorrah. Talk to an Italian American, and the first thing people go to them is like the mafia and stuff, and they kind of flirt with it, and the Sopranos, and they go, it's a stereotype and all that sort of stuff. But it really is, man. Like, there's so much more beauty to the Italian culture, and people do lean to it. And the thing is, I'm as much to blame for that, because I love those movies.
You very much embraced that part of the culture.
Totally embraced it. But I guess what I've realised as I've got older though is how piece of shit these people are. You know, they're total like wrong-uns, man.
Just coming back to that other point, Ben, would you bang your stepmom?
It's really, really hard to put myself in that hypothetical situation, to be honest, Eamonn.
Difficult decision for you, because your actual mum is a real hottie, isn't she?
When we were younger, if ever I used to say that Ben's sister was pretty, man, he would get so pissed off with me, man.
Don't need to worry about that anymore. She's a real dog face now.
Oh man. If I decide to leave this into the edit, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, washes over my head. She's very pretty. So try and get a rise out of me, Gerry. Whatever.
Yeah, Ben did just punch his own fist, but you're not got a rise out of him.
Say what you want. Yeah. So, Gerry, you know what makes a good pizza. What would you say makes it?
Pineapple, right?
Oh,
Some delicious rings of pineapple.
Vaffanculo.
oh, that's overstepping the line.
Oh,
Eamonn.
and barbecue sauce base and just a ton of pineapple.
This fucking guy, Ben, this fucking guy.
But what makes a good gangster movie? What do we look for in a gangster movie?
Have you ever seen Gotti?
John Travolta.
Imagine that is the opposite of what any gangster movie should be. Do you know, the most perfect gangster movie ever is Goodfellas. I don't think it's been done better than that. I love The Godfather. The Godfather talks of like an old Italian mafia that does not exist, and it hasn't existed since the Lucky Luciano days. But Goodfellas, it is the perfect gangster movie. It's brutal. You love them and hate them in equal measures. You want to be them, but at the same time realise that it's just a horrendous lifestyle, and ultimately it influenced the second greatest gangster movie ever, which is Pulp Fiction.
You like Lucky Number 11, Ben? You always go on about that.
I do. I always.
You always
go
go.
on
That's
about
like,
Lucky
you
Number
say when
7.
it comes to gangster films, you do that thing that chefs do, where you go. Mwah.
I think for me there has to be a psycho, and you know, Joe Pesci in Goodfellas is one of the scariest characters in any film, horror, whatever.
And that is alongside a Robert De Niro who's a fucking psychopath, and he makes Robert De Niro look soft.
Right, lads, I've got a game for you.
Oh.
I am going to read a quote from The Sopranos, and you have to tell me who said it.
Okay.
First quote. Death just shows the ultimate absurdity of life.
Oh, that's a toughie to begin with.
That's not an easy one.
It's going to be like a comedy character, isn't it? Someone we wouldn't expect to say it.
Christopher?
It's not Christopher.
Oh, I know who it is. It's AJ. It's when he reads The Outsider or something.
It is AJ.
Oh my God, these are hard.
Right, I'm embarrassed. Next one.
What the hell would we have in common? Bunions? You know how I feel about feet.
Oh, that's either Junior or Olivia.
Yeah, that sounds like a good guess.
I think it's Junior.
Yeah, we going with Junior? Yeah, well done. Okay, here we go. Anybody ever die in your arms? Give it time. See if I can't make that happen for you.
Oh, that's that. I know exactly that is. The Turk.
Phil Leotardo.
Yeah, Phil Leotardo, yeah.
He says that to Tony, right?
About Christopher.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
It is. It's Phil Leotardo, yeah. Oh, Philly! Yeah. Phil getting his head crushed and then someone throwing up in the petrol station is one of the greatest scenes of all time.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Okay, this is a good one. You ever go to tie your shoes and you notice the end of your laces are wet?
That's Paulie Walnuts.
Yeah, that's right. That's Paulie. Okay, and if you want my advice, Anthony, don't expect happiness.
Oh, that's Livia, isn't it?
That's exactly right. Yeah, it is Livia, yeah.
It is, yes. Yes. Okay, doing well. Why was I born handsome instead of rich?
Is it Silvio?
I'm not going to say anything. I'll let you decide.
No, it's Ralphie. It's Ralphie.
Well done. It's Ralphie. Okay, this is the last one. This ain't negotiation time. This is Scarface. Final scene.
Christopher.
Bazookas under each arm.
Christopher.
Say hello to my little friend. Yeah, that is Christopher. That's Christopher.
When they just hear news that Jackie Jr. is dead.
That's right. Well done, Jerry. I am impressed.
Brushed
Hold
it.
tight.
That was very
Hold tight.
good. All right, so we need to decide whether we are going to flush the Many Saints of Newark down the toilet, or if we are going to fish it out of the bowl and keep it like Hollywood Dick's trophy wife. So the Many Saints of Newark, would you flush it or would you fish it out?
Having watched it twice, 100% take it out. I wouldn't put it on the Oscar shelf, but it's definitely better than Jimmy Blue Eyes or whatever it was.
Got
Mickey
it.
Blue Eyes. It's definitely better than Analyze This.
Yeah.
And I want more. I want more. Yes, take it out. Give me more.
All right, cool. Eamon?
I don't think this film has the makings of a varsity athlete, I'm afraid. I would flush this. I wish they'd made this into a mini-series, because the whole subplot with the New York riots, it's so relevant. That story just kind of dropped off in the third act. You had like post-credit scene of the guy moving into a white neighborhood, and that kind of wrapped his story up. I think David Chase, like his artistic medium that he excels at is television. A great irony because he loves movies more than anything else, but this felt like two separate stories, and it didn't feel like There was no kind of like narrative drive. It didn't feel like it was building up towards something. There was no big climax. It was like episodic. And if you'd taken all that content, turned it into like 8 episodes, I think it would have been fantastic and rich and detailed, just like The Sopranos. But it was trying to do too much with too little. And I freaking love David Chase, but I'm afraid I'd have to flush this down. What about you, Ben?
I'm really sorry, Gerry, but I would flush it too. It was just like Eamonn said, there was just too much. I wish they'd made this into a series. I really liked Dickie Moltisanti. I thought he was a great character. I liked his story.
Yeah.
That was the thing I enjoyed the most. I would have been quite happy if they just focused on him. But every time they brought in another character from the series, it sort of took me out of the film. It was just, they tried to do too much, and in the end I got a bit lost.
I remember watching the 4th series of The Sopranos
Yeah.
and being really disappointed because the 3rd series was just like, it took it to the Hollywood movie level. And now I watch the 4th series and I love it. I actually agree with everything both you said, but please watch it again. And I guarantee you will find a small newfound love in your heart for it.
Tell you what, maybe what we'll do is we'll keep the film in a bucket in the bathroom. So once we look at it again, we can then flush it permanently or fish it out.
Maybe I'll reach down the bowl once I've seen it again and yank it out again.
Do watch it again, guys. Do watch it again. I really enjoyed this, guys, I must say.
Thank you for doing it. It was really good
Yeah,
fun.
thanks, Gerry.
Thank you for having me on, man. Like, at Bite Twice Pizza Reviews.
Yeah, that's it.
Go and follow us.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we will leave your bathroom space now, and you can bask in the glory of the Many Saints of Newark while we move on to other films.
See you later, guys. Really enjoyed this.
Cheers, Gerry.
Peace. All right, good. So that was the Many Saints of Newark. I'm not sure if Gerry expected us to flush it. It's what you get sometimes.
I know. Thanks, Gerry.
Thanks, man. It was really lovely to catch up. Cool. So we are now on to our top five of the week. And this week, obviously, I mean, it's top 5 gangster films, isn't it?
Yeah, I said to Ben, because it's a very broad topic, I wondered if there was like a way of doing films off the back of TV shows. Always happens the other way. Always get a TV series off the back of a film.
This is true. So we're not doing that, but thanks for that. Thanks for explaining our inner workings. So the way top 5 works is we have 3 guesses of each other's top 5s. Whoever gets the most correct answers gets to choose next week's film. Whomever shall get the most wrong doth do a forfeit, of which we shall speak after we hath chosen.
Ooh, a little bit of drama there.
Huh? You like that?
I did.
Pretty Shakespearean. You did the forfeit last week.
I did, yeah.
So you get to choose first, and feel like this might be to my disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, this is a gimme. I mean, if you don't have this, I feel like we can't do the podcast anymore. This is a double.
Okay.
Goodfellas.
No. Yeah, of course I have. Ah! You saw his face. You see his face. Oh, you see his face.
Stitch me up.
Oh, mate. Proper murked you there, didn't I?
You did.
Of course Goodfellas is on my list.
Ugh.
It's one of my favourite all-time films. Okay, this is a double. City of God.
You cheeky little minx. Yes,
get
I've
it?
got that. Yeah, well done. Well done. I didn't think you'd get that at all. Well done.
Nice. Okay, that's good.
It's such
man.
a brilliant film.
It's incredible. I haven't seen it for a very long time, and I must watch it again.
It's a fantastic colour palette.
Oh, palette. Everything's on the same. It's mostly about the colour palette.
It is. I actually watch it with the volume off.
That's the most pretentious thing you've ever said.
Okay. I'm going to say Godfather Part Two.
Is it a double?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Yes, I do have The Godfather Part 2. I love The Godfather Part 2. I love The Godfather, but I love The Godfather Part 2 more.
I rewatched them both recently, and they're fine films, but I kind of feel like, having watched something like The Sopranos, which feels like almost like a reality series, it feels so believable. When you then watch something like The Godfather, it just seems ludicrous that the people would behave that way, like honourable murderers and thieves.
It was Gerry mentioned that. He said it was The Godfather is an old mafia that doesn't really exist anymore.
I'm quite interested in the mafia when I was a bit younger, and I've read around it a little bit.
Well, you tried to join, didn't you? Okay, this is a duplicate. The Departed.
No.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Interesting.
So if I get this,
If
then,
you get this,
it's all over, mate.
you've done a win.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to say Gamora.
No, I found the film really hard work. It's very good, but it's really horrible. Okay, I'll say The Untouchables.
Yes.
Yes! Yes! Is that a draw?
Yeah, it's 2 each.
It's penalty shootout, mate, isn't it? It's penalty shootout.
Oh. Right, I'm going to say Mean Streets.
No, I feel this is hard now. I'm going to have to go for broke here.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, I have one more on my list. And if I say it, that's the double, and I've said it.
Well, then I win.
How?
Because you've revealed all your answers.
I'm not sure if that makes sense, but it kind of does.
That's kind of in a way.
In a way it does. Okay, fine. My last guess. Pulp Fiction.
No.
That was a double. That's all my answers gone.
That's all your answers gone, yeah.
So you've got how many left that I haven't guessed?
2.
I don't understand. How does that work? Because I did lots of doubles.
Yeah.
Poo. Oh, poo in a bum. So there's
Yeah.
new techniques that I should use for this game.
That's right. You rely too heavily on doubles.
Yeah, that's right.
It's come back to bite you.
It has.
You know,
All right,
you
fine.
have to live with that.
You win, Eamonn. Oh, Eamonn. Oh, I won. Oh. Yeah, let's all celebrate that.
Okay, do you want to hear?
No, I don't care. Yeah, go on. I'm interested. What were yours?
Okay, so I had Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, you are full of it.
Not Pulp Fiction.
You think Reservoir Dogs is better than Pulp Fiction?
I do. I prefer it.
Okay.
And I had In Bruges.
Ah, I should have guessed that. I saw that on a list somewhere. In Bruges is brilliant.
It's amazing.
Good choice. Anyway, okay, cool. So, what's my forfeit this week then?
So, like a young Tony Soprano in The Many Saints, you have to steal an ice cream van.
Oh, okay. Oh, God. In November.
I can say it might be a bit tricky now with the weather, but you're a very enterprising young man. I'm sure you can find a way.
It's a forfeit, so I have to do it.
Has to do it.
I have to do it.
Listen, mate, I had to do last week's forfeit.
Oh, yeah, what was that?
Those eating a shit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Like the young boy in the Babadook was told to. How did that go?
I own guinea pigs, as you may remember.
Yes.
Snowflake and Jackie 6.
Mm-hmm.
Guinea pigs do 2 types of poo.
Right.
The first one is sort of a slick, glossy poo, which they then re-eat.
Oh,
The secondary poo is kind of like a hard, husky pellet.
Right.
So I just had a few of them.
Oh.
And then
good.
I felt like you just neck it with a glass of water. I felt like I was really sort of cheating it.
So what did you do?
I went out and ate a big dog
All right, cool. Oh, wow. So, next week's movie is what?
No Time to Die.
Ah, excellent. And we have a guest.
Another one?
Another guest.
Another guest.
So we have a guest, a lovely man called Alex Robson, who hosts his own podcast with his brother, which is all about the animated Spider-Man series, which was made in the 90s, and is very entertaining and very fun and very much up our street. And he also owns a hot business called Penny's Pizza. They make ridiculously good pizzas. So we're keeping with the pizza theme. We're going to be chatting to him next week, and that is going to be real fun. He's a big Bond fan, and he knows lots about movies. So yeah, good times ahead.
Can't wait.
Yeah, good. That sounded like genuine enthusiasm.
It was. It's all my enthusiasm is genuine.
So that's next time. But for this time, we're done. Like Dickie's dad in the Many Saints of Newark, we have smashed this podcast's head against the steering wheel until it doesn't move anymore. And the life has been drained out of it. There we go.
Yeah.
There it is. Thank you for listening. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Do the social media thing. Go on the podcast places. We're on Twitter again, Eamonn.
Yeah, we are.
We're not big.
We've got 7 more followers than Donald Trump. So
that's true. Oh, we're on what's his social media network called? Truth. We're going to be on Truth, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to sign up to that.
Going to be on Truth, definitely.
Yeah, I don't want to worry you, but I'm getting really into QAnon and what's that thing they all say? Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're getting into that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, take care. Eamonn, finish this mess.
Keep flushing.
Good, we will. Bye.